Who here remembers the worst day of their life? The day you'll never forget. The day everything changed. I'm not talking about a bad grade or a lost tennis match. If you haven't lived that day yet, good for you. As for the others, would you please raise your hand? Thank you. Personally, I can no longer raise my arm. But I'll answer my own question anyway. I remember that day perfectly. December 8, 2020. After a sudden and unexplained bike accident, my right leg was constantly dragging, my muscles twitching, my strength fading, and countless scans, MRIs, and EMGs brought no answers. There I was, sitting in my neurologist's office at the Pitié-Salpêtrière Hospital in Paris. I could sense that my 9-month medical limbo was coming to an end. She looked at me with a very serious look. She chose every word carefully, painfully. And then, she said a phrase I had never heard before. Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. 3 words that crashed into my life like a tidal wave. In one sentence, everything collapsed. My future, my plans, my sense of control, all gone. At that moment, I didn't cry. Maybe, like me on that day, you don't really know what ALS is. Also known as Lou Gehrig's disease, maladie de Charcot in French. It's a rare neurological condition that attacks the motor neurons, those cells that tell our muscles what to do. Little by little, with no way to stop it, muscles weaken, then stop working altogether. Walking, speaking, eating, breathing, all the simple things become huge challenges. And the cruelest part? The mind stays fully aware. Imagine your body shutting down, but your mind is still thinking, feeling, loving. That's ALS. It kills most people within 3 to 5 years. There is no cure. Some of you might find it strange that I photographed that fateful day, but it's not that. I reenacted that moment for a short film imagined by Jacques Séguéla. My first instinct after the diagnosis was simple. Hide. Hide my fear, hide my sadness, hide my fragility. Because that's what we're taught, without even realizing it. In our world, showing fragility is often seen as showing weakness. Since childhood, we've been told that to be strong is to be invulnerable. That to be respected, we must hide our wounds, our doubts, our cracks, and instead, proudly display our trophies and successes. In this world, we've turned performance into appearance, and fragility into something we edit out. In other words, fragility equals weakness. And I believed that too. Until my body forced me to learn. Being fragile doesn't mean being weak. It means being alive. A few months after the diagnosis, I felt a strange need building inside me. The need to speak. To stop hiding. To do what I now call my medical coming out. Before going public, I talked about it with those around me. And very quickly, the reactions came pouring in. Some said, "Are you sure, Olivier? Do you really want to expose all that? Aren't you afraid of scaring people? Of being reduced to your illness? They weren't trying to hurt me. On the contrary. They wanted to protect me. As in France we say, vivons heureux, vivons cachés. Live hidden, live happily. But behind their advice, I could still hear the message. Stay quiet, be strong, stay dignified. Don't burden others with your pain. They wanted me to believe that speaking up would make me fragile. But deep down, I felt that staying silent was what truly made me vulnerable. So I spoke. In March 2021, I picked up the phone and called Mathieu Stéphanie. Back then, I could still pick up a phone. I asked if I could share my story on his podcast. What drew me to the format was the time, the freedom, the chance to open up with no filter. I wanted to tell the truth, my truth. Just once, I thought. To stop the rumors, once and for all. And I spoke, openly, honestly, for 90 minutes. Not to complain, but to share. To break the silence. To reach out. And through that moment, something crystallized in me. What I thought was a weakness, my fragility, my illness, might actually be a source of strength. A strength for me, and maybe for others too. For the first time in a long time, I felt free. And strangely, stronger than ever. My message quickly reached far beyond my professional or personal circles. The day after the episode was published, I received thousands of messages. Messages that moved me deeply. From strangers and public figures alike. Stories of invisible disabilities, of trauma, of violence, of unspeakable silences. It was as if, by daring to speak, I had given others permission to do the same. And that's when something shifted in me. I started to see the world differently. I began noticing what we often overlook. The cracks, the scars, the invisible wounds that we all carry. I learned something essential. It's only when you strip yourself bare that you begin to see the world as it truly is. A world far removed from what we're shown. Far from appearances. Far from social media and the polished public images we all try to control. Here's someone who wasn't camera ready, but his mind lit up the world. Then again, he never had an Instagram account, but he would have had millions of followers. He died only 8 years after the invention of the first beauty filters. Any guesses? Yes, I know. I threw you off with this photo of him floating in zero gravity. But of course you recognize him. The great, legendary Stephen Hawking. An invincible fighter against ALS. Diagnosed at 21 and given just 2 years to live. Then he lived 50 more. Trapped in a wheelchair, stripped of his voice, and yet, his voice carried to the farthest reaches of the universe. It transformed our understanding of time, of black holes, of humanity. He didn't heal, he didn't walk, he didn't speak. And yet, he inspired millions. No, he didn't have a face fit for Instagram. But he had a profoundly shareable life. He left something far more powerful. Living proves that you can leave a mark even without walking. That you can speak to all of humanity without saying a single word. And that, I believe, is the most beautiful definition of legacy. To leave something that transcends your body. An idea, an energy, an example. To do something meaningful with what remains when everything seems to have been taken away. Maybe that's the true power of fragility. To transmit where we thought we had nothing left. I had the chance to meet scientists who worked closely with him. And they told me something fascinating. The more his body failed, the faster his mind worked. As if his physical fragility had carved open a space of extraordinary power inside of him. His vulnerability didn't slow down his genius. It amplified it. His story taught me something essential. He wasn't strong despite his fragility. He was strong because of it. I too believed for a long time that I had to hide my flaws to stay dignified. But since the illness forced me to slow down, to listen, to let go, I've discovered another version of myself. More honest. More exposed. But somehow, stronger. I've come to see that fragility isn't a flaw to correct. It's a strength to embrace. It took me 3 months to accept my diagnosis. 3 months of violent confusion, like stumbling through a pitch-black room with no door, no window, no way out. If you've ever been there, you know exactly what I mean. If not, let me reassure you, there is always a way. I don't have any special power. I just understood one day that the only way forward was to accept the cracks, no matter how deep they ran. So if my fragility opened doors for me, maybe it's time, together, to look at things differently. What if we finally stop glorifying perfection and beauty? What if we started valuing what's real, what's sensitive, what's human? The Japanese understood this long ago. They call it kintsugi, literally, golden joinery. An ancient art of repairing broken pottery by highlighting the cracks with gold, silver, or platinum powder rather than hiding them. Kintsugi isn't just a technique, it's a way of life. It's not despite our wounds that we are beautiful, it's wisdom. My own fragility opened up spaces I never dared to imagine. It forced me to live more slowly, but more deeply. It taught me to truly listen, to love without restraint. It connected me to others in a simpler, more sincere, more essential way. It may sound strange, but today, I feel more alive than before the disease. I've even completely redefined my sense of dignity. I no longer associate dignity with what I can do or appear to do. I associate it with who I can be. As long as I can love, share, laugh, cry, and fight for a cause that's bigger than myself, I feel alive and I feel dignified. The illness also taught me something else. Don't project too far ahead. Live in the present. There's no use in anticipating or imagining every future breakdown. The day I would stop walking. The day I would stop speaking. The day I won't go to the bathroom alone. Sorry for being blunt, but this disease is blunt. It doesn't sugarcoat. And often patients, and especially healthy people, misjudge where the true limits of dignity lie. As for me, for now, I'm still here. Present, engaged, and deeply alive. But I also claim the right, like everyone, to decide how far I'm willing to go on this journey. Because dignity also means the freedom to choose. So here's what I propose. What if we turn our fragilities into bridges, not walls? Accepting my vulnerability didn't make me passive. Quite the opposite. It gave me a new kind of energy. I quickly felt the need to act, to transform this ordeal into commitment. So I decided to put my voice, my image, and my story in service of scientific research. Thanks to dozens of generous and magical encounters, I co-authored a book. I was filmed in a documentary shown in Paris, New York, Toronto, London, and even Tokyo. I stood on stage at the Olympia Hall in Paris. I joined awareness campaigns across 3 continents. Jacques Seguela even made me skydive to raise funds for the Paris Brain Institute. And more recently, I co-founded a long-term philanthropic fund, Invincible Summer, to support research on ALS and neurodegenerative diseases. Our goal? Donate 1 million euros every year for 99 years. Because even if I can be cured, I can contribute. I can bring people together. I can help unite minds and energies. And that too is a form of strength, to create something beautiful out of what life has shattered. So today, I want to invite you to do something. Not for me, for you. Embrace your fragility. Don't run from it. Don't hide it. Look it in the eyes and learn to love it. Because very often, what you think is your flaw is where your greatest strength is quietly waiting. And I say this with all that I am, with all that I live. Fragility is not the end of the light. It's often where it begins. And when it passes through the cracks, it becomes something even greater. It becomes love. Not the love we show, the love we give. The kind of love that doesn't heal everything, but that repairs. The kind of love that connects us. The kind of love that makes us invincible. Thank you.